Horrifying old family recipes, let's swap. I'm lucky enough to have inherited multiple binders of old recipes from grandmothers, great-grandmothers, aunts, and my mom who is suddenly vegan. Some of these are handwritten treasures that I will cherish for years to come. And some of them are horrifying. We're talking Greek soup, easy version, featuring lemon jello pudding mix and chicken stock. Sugar cookies made with bacon grease and pounded raisins. And the rather ominous liver casserole surprise. My family is made up of rather normal, otherwise well-adjusted people, so I figure this cannot be unique. What are your family horrors on a plate? How many of them involve canned soup and / or pudding mix? While I am sure this thread is going to be full of canned soup casserole nightmares or 70s processed food hell, I'll share my ex's family recipe for lasagna. I like to cook, and this recipe almost comes off malicious in how it does the wrong thing for every single step. I only made it once because it was the ex's mother's speciality and they insisted. I was not allowed to deviate, because I would just make it wrong, yet the recipe to this day is ingrained in my brain. Take a pound of the leanest ground beef you can find and cook it hard and fast. Drain thoroughly on paper towels. The meat should be bone dry. Not a single drop of fat, because fat is bad. If it reminds you of kitty litter, you nailed it. Into the cooked drained beef you need to stir in 1 large onion, chopped. Make sure the pieces are slightly larger than you're comfortable with and definitely keep the onion raw. Don't even think about sautéing it. We want the large onion chunks to sort of half steam in the lasagna so it is simultaneously 2 different incorrect textures. Now grab no-cook lasagna noodles and cook them anyways, because otherwise you might accidentally do the right thing at this stage. Lay the noodles in whatever pan you have that's not a pan you would associate with lasagna. I recommend a loaf pan, or if you want to be festive, a bundt pan. Order goes layer of already 2 soft noodles, cooked beef, and raw onion mixture, then a few tablespoons of tomato paste. Alternate until you run out of ingredients. Only cut the tomato paste with water if you need to stretch it to get enough for all the layers. Once you get to the top layer, make sure you end with noodles. Now dump an entire bag of pre-shredded mozzarella on top. The whole bag. Bake uncovered until the cheese is almost melted but not fully melted. Make sure you didn't add any salt because you want it to be heart healthy. My Mills lasagna. Cook any pasta that isn't lasagna noodles. Mix together with sautéed bell peppers and onions, the smallest can of tomatoes you can find, drained, and an entire bag of shredded Colby Jack cheese. Bake for like 45 minutes. Also no salt cause we're trying to be healthy. Absolutely awful. Entirely too dry and chewy at the same time. When I was planning my wedding to my now ex-husband, my soon-to-be monster-in-law at the time was demanding I have ziti on the menu, which I hate. That was the last straw of many such demands she wanted, so I called off the actual wedding instead. We just eloped in a private ceremony. I should have just cancelled that part too. My parents went on a tour to China that had people complaining there wasn't real Chinese food. No broccoli beef, sweet sour pork. Every year after Thanksgiving and Christmas, my mom would take the delicious turkey or ham leftovers and put it in a pot. She would then add the green bean casserole, water, and then use all of the mashed potatoes to thicken it to about the consistency of Elmer's glue. Despite the rest of the family begging her not to ruin the leftovers like this, every year she would do it. Then she would become absolutely irate that no one else would eat it and it would all go to waste. She still does this. When I got married 2 years ago, I was given a family cookbook that was lovingly put together with all the old recipes. My favorite horrifying one include instructions for how to clean and cook a skunk and how to use roadkill. My mother attests that after marrying into the family they fed everyone on roadkill a couple of different times, including while pregnant with me, and she almost divorced my dad over it, of various animals. But my favorite is the secret recipe Mexican rolls, which is just fajita in a roll, no joke, and is in no way Mexican. My father grew up during the Depression, so they ate some things I find odd and mildly unsettling. Worst, something he called zilts. I'm sure that is not how it is spelled. Meat from cooked pig's feet that was put in a 9x11 pan. Over that he poured unflavored gelatin and put in the refrigerator to set. Once it was set and cold, he'd cut out squares of it, put the square on a plate and pour vinegar over. Nope. Edit. He also made things that were delish, but no one in their right mind would make now if they wanted to live past 50. Example, shred potatoes into hash browns. Fill 9x13 pan with potatoes. Fill pan to top with bacon grease you've saved/collected from the last month. Bake at super high temp until pan turns into a nuclear tater tot of bacon-flavored potato cake. Like I said, not something you want to eat on a weekly basis, but if you love bacon and potatoes. Christmas asparagus. Step 1. Put asparagus whole onto a plate, including the butt ends. Don't cut those off, it's wasteful and asparagus is expensive. Step 2. Microwave for 7 to 10 minutes. Step 3. Let it sit for an hour or two while you cook the rest of the meal. Step 4. Squirt some French's mustard on it and microwave for another 5 minutes. Serve. Probably not the worst thing after looking at some of the other posts, but my grandmother is infamous for having made casseroles every other day of the week, each with a different base protein, back when my mom was growing up. On Sundays she would then take all the leftovers from the prior casseroles and make, you guessed it, a casserole out of the old casseroles. She is no longer allowed to cook for family occasions. My stepmom told me her family had a recipe for cookies that used chicken schmaltz, because that's what they tended to have. Yikes. My mom cooked mostly from magazine recipes, so I grew up on soup-based casseroles. But it's my husband who lived through real horror. He talks of boiled rice, with chicken wings on top, just boiled with it. So gummy. And boiled okra, so slimy. No salt or seasonings and they went together as an ensemble. Just rice, wings, okra. My mother-in-law's spaghetti is literally one small can of tomato paste, spaghetti noodles, and water. Nothing else. No salt. No pepper. No meat. Nothing. My American family originally from the Midwest has Swedish roots, and we also have a family cookbook from the 60s, 70s. Let me tell you, some of the recipes in this book are not things I want to cook today. Lutefisk. My most favorite, it's basically dried fish that's rehydrated with lye. LOL. There's a Russian tea recipe that's spiced hot tang. There is a couple pickled fish recipes, honestly not that bad, just weird for American tastes I guess. Lots of fruity jello mayo salads. Southern pear salad. On a single lettuce leaf place a chilled canned pear half. In the hollow of the pear place a scoop of mayonnaise or Miracle Whip. Top the mayo with shredded hoop cheese or sharp cheddar. If desired, top cheese with a maraschino cherry. The recipes I'm about to share are not old family recipes, they're actually very new family recipes because they were all invented by my mother, only one generation ago. I think that makes it worse. You be the judge. Kidney bean porridge, like oatmeal/congee, but sub oats/rice for canned kidney beans, because beans are more nutritious and better for you. Canned beans don't absorb water, so they just sink to the bottom. End result is a layer of boiled canned beans, 4 times as much bean-flavored water on top, all partially obscured by floating brown scum. No salt for heart healthiness. Sometimes she also drops in a few pieces of chopped pumpkin in to boil together, rind left on for extra fiber. Broccoli dip. Boil broccoli for twice as long as it needs until it starts turning that yellowy hue instead of bright green. Eat straight while dipping into store-bought mayonnaise. No salt for heart healthiness. Pressure cooker beef stew. Take leanest beef you can find, for health reasons. Do not sear because oil is bad for you. Put into pressure cooker with soy sauce and other seasonings. The seasoning mix is actually fine. Once fully cooked and meat is bone dry, douse with vinegar before serving because vinegar is good for you. Leftover special: take any possible leftovers, dump it into a pot, add water, add noodles for noodle soup. The method itself is fine, but she absolutely does not discriminate as to what the leftovers are. Curry noodle soup? Quite tasty actually. Roast chicken and green bean noodle soup? Would have been better as proper chicken noodle soup, but okay. Diced hot dogs and coleslaw noodle soup after a barbecue? Fried chicken and scrambled egg noodle soup? I legitimately believe my mother just has an extremely insensitive palate. She sometimes wants specific foods for nostalgia but honestly doesn't seem to notice or care about how things taste. The ironic thing is my father once worked as a line cook at a restaurant and is a fantastic cook, but she absolutely does not allow either of us in her kitchen. She regularly admonishes me for only making unhealthy versions of her tried and true recipes. Mix canned salmon and cream of mushroom soup. Top with Bisquick batter. Enjoy your salmon casserole, watch out for the bones. Boil whole chicken in a mix of water, cream of mushroom soup and hatch green chilies. Shred the chicken in the pot. Lightly fry corn tortillas in oil and layer tortillas, chicken/liquid mix and cheese until casserole pan is full. Bake until mostly solid. Watch out for the bones. I actually love the chicken enchiladas and get stoked when my dad makes them for Christmas. Immigrant Asian family equals bastardized Western food. Why should we order pizza? We have pizza at home. Dad's pizza: mix water, flour, and salt into something dough-like. Pop in the toaster oven until brick-like in consistency. Top with ketchup, mozzarella, or Kraft slices, and pineapple. Butter sandwich: pats of butter, like those foil-wrapped ones that are left over from catering services, between 2 slices of white bread. Bonus for covering the entire slice. Peanut butter jelly sandwiches: peanut sauce, like the hot pot kind, and strawberry jam, on Taiwan toast. Mayo sandwiches: mayo on sliced bread, dusted with granulated sugar. Mayo salmon: spread 1/4 inch of mayo on salmon, bake until kind of dry, no lemon, herbs, or other seasonings. Spaghetti: stir-fried pork slivers with ginger and scallions and ketchup and spaghetti noodles plus sliced cheese. Steak: slice chuck or round to 1/4 inch thickness, cover in black pepper, and cook in crowded pan until well done. Now I do the cooking whenever we visit my parents, unless they're making Chinese food. They've gotten better over the years, but I will never be able to fully convince them that they can't just substitute out real, fresh ingredients for condiments, and that things are not always interchangeable. Not really a recipe, but I inherited all of my grandmother's handwritten recipes. I recently went through them with my cousin and there was one titled 3-Day Diet and it looked like torture. Day 1, breakfast: toast, no butter, black coffee, half an apple. Lunch: 5 saltine crackers, 1 canned tuna, black coffee. Dinner: 1 boiled or poached egg, toast, no butter, other half of the apple, 1 glass of wine. No snacking. My mom ruined pork chops for me for life. I still don't eat them because of how she made them when I was a kid. Boneless pork chop. Don't season it. Just slather the top with ketchup, put a slice of raw white onion on top of the ketchup, and a slice of lemon on top of the onion. Bake until it's the texture of shoe leather to protect the family from trichinosis. Every possible sweet potato abomination known to man has graced my Mill's Thanksgiving table. One year she took canned yams, mashed/wrapped it around a jumbo marshmallow, like a Scotch egg, rolled the ball in crushed corn flakes, then served it on top of a canned pineapple ring. Those were served warm so the marshmallow was slightly gooey. She was pissed when no one took one from the buffet line, so she proceeded to go around with her casserole dish and pass them out. You got one even if you said, "No thank you." She said it was an old, family favorite, so favored, in fact, that no one remembered it. Another year she made cups out of oranges and served a sweet potato mash in those. Imagine cutting an orange in half horizontally and scooping out the delicious orange segments to use the peel as a vessel to serve sweet potatoes. The sweet potatoes were topped with a maple syrup, raisin, and pecan compote. So bizarre. There's also a congealed salad that gets served at Christmas that's cranberries, pecans, celery, gelatin, and mayonnaise. I'm gagging just thinking about it. My mother grew up in Germany, and eating with her older relatives was always an exercise in frustration. It was also a sort of window into how little seasoning was present in really lower-class European cooking before the war. They once prepared a roasted chicken with no seasoning at all, no brine or anything, maybe just a little salt, and went into rhapsodies about how this was pure chicken and we needed to stop being so fancy and enjoy simple things. I ate it with a lot of salt. They also liked to boil beef. On one occasion my grandmother cut up a set of steaks my dad had bought and boiled them with carrots and dumplings. It wasn't a bad dish, but I would have preferred the steaks. Somehow, we generally got along well.